Hey, something happened recently that reminded me of someone in my past, and that got me thinking about a lot of things and a lot of people in my past. And then finally, I got to thinking about forgiveness. And I don't mean forgiving the other person. I mean, do that. If you want to do that, then do that. But right now, what I mean is to forgive yourself. I think people forget that part. People always want to push people to forgive the other person, forgive the other person, forgive the other person. Okay, but you know, you have to, if you want any kind of peace of mind, it's good to forgive yourself because you allowed things to happen to you because you had low self-esteem and you didn't think highly of yourself and you thought you didn't deserve better, and you let people put you through shit that you didn't really deserve, but because you were so lost and you were so disconnected from yourself and so far outside of yourself that all this shit just got in, and you couldn't learn at the time because you were so lost. And when you look back on all that, most of the time you think, damn, that person did such and such to me, why did they do that? They were selfish or whatever, and you blame it all on them, and that's fine. But what I'm saying is, this isn't even about blaming it on yourself and taking all the blame, and because that's going to keep you down too. What I mean is, forgive yourself for letting that shit happen. Forgive yourself for thinking that you didn't deserve better. Forgive yourself for the torture and the misery that you allowed to plop into your lap. At the time, you didn't know that that was there to teach you. And maybe some of it you haven't figured out yet, and that's okay. But telling yourself, it's okay, what happened is okay, it's changed me, but in a good way. You look back and you can learn, take the lessons for what they are, and you have to humble yourself. You have to humble yourself in order to realize what the lessons are, period. Realize what you did wrong. Realize if you were being closed-minded, or if you were being selfish, or if you were too closed off, or you weren't emotionally available, or whatever it is that you were doing. Once you mature and you grow up a bit, you can look back and see what you did wrong, and it's okay to admit to yourself, okay, I did that, and forgive yourself for doing the wrong, whatever it was. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to, just because you realize you've done wrong, or just because you realize you let something happen because you didn't know any better, doesn't change your value or anything like that. People are so afraid to admit to being wrong, and people are so afraid to admit to letting something happen because they didn't see it coming, or they didn't know any better, or whatever. That's not admitting to one thing or whatever is not going to ruin you. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to accept that. It's okay to see that. It's okay to acknowledge it and say, wow, all right, yeah, that happened. I did that, or I let that happen. Okay, lesson learned, moving on. And that's when the story can change. You can look back at it differently. You don't have to be so angry about it. That's part of the reframing. This is the kind of stuff I want to get really good at, is the reframing, because you can look back on something and see it in a better light, and see, you can take it for what it was, take the lesson from it, move on, and continue with your life, but in a better mood. And I want to master that, because there are so many things that I catch myself looking back on in the wrong way, and so many things that I told myself over and over again that were wrong. Stories I told myself where I just tortured myself, and I shouldn't do that, and you shouldn't do that. No one should be doing that to themselves. So When you look back on something, look at it from the third person point of view. Try to take yourself out of that situation and look at it from off to the side. Look at it the way somebody else would look at it if they didn't know either person involved. And just try to take your emotions out for a minute and just look at it. And take it for what it is. And see where each person did wrong or did right. Where each person didn't know what they were doing and did their best and didn't know any better. Or what have you, whatever the case may be. And just learn from it and just take the lesson and go. And forgive yourself for letting that shit happen. And forgive yourself for not knowing any better. Or for being kind of self-centered or whatever it was that happened. And just go. You can't let that stuff hold you back forever. As long as you keep telling yourself the same old bullshit story, the narrative isn't. If the narrative doesn't change, then how's the future going to change? You keep telling yourself the same old BS backstory, and then you wonder why nothing changes. Change the story. Change the facts. It can be done. But you got to be willing to look at it from a different point of view. Be willing to look at it from an open point of view. Go in with an open mind. Let yourself take it in. Let yourself take in the facts. Let yourself take in the information. Don't get wound up about it. Don't let your emotions get carried away. Don't let your ego take control. Just take it as facts and say, okay, this happened, this happened, this happened. That could have been done better. That could have been done better. At least that part was done right and that part was done right. Okay, lesson learned. Done. And go. A lot of times both people in the situation have both done wrong in some way or another, and they just, it's not always just one person that's to blame. So, but like I say, this kind of searching, this inner searching, that requires being humble. And you got to do that. You've got to humble yourself a bit if you want to look back and really analyze yourself. You got to come back down to earth with the rest of us. Anybody who wants to grow and mature and do better and change and transform and improve has got to be able to just go inward and look at it from a different point of view and say, okay, I did this, I did that, that person did this and did that. We both screwed up, we both could have done better. At least I'm not like that now, or what can I do to not be like that anymore? And that's it. Start with that, but you can change the way you look at things in your past, and you can change how you feel about it. You can change what you think about it and what it did and the effect it had on you, but you gotta humble yourself. And that's just part of it. If your transformation is worth the effort, you will do it. That's all I got for right now. So, thanks for listening.